Good morning, y'all. David here. Today we're back for another video, a discussion video slash news video, because we just got an updated look at the sales numbers for the Persona series, and the darn thing just topped 15 million copies sold worldwide for Persona. Fantastic numbers here. We have some specific numbers for certain games that we'll go over, and I have a lot to say too when it comes to what's the future of Persona. Will they ever go back to games like Persona 1 and 2 duology? And also, I have some information that I want to look at when it comes to platforms. So on which platform, which game released, and the sales and all of that. So it should be really interesting for this discussion. If you don't know me, my name's David. My channel is focused on anything Atlus, Shin, Megami, Tensei, Persona. So if you want to stay up to date when it comes to news on those IPs, make sure to subscribe and ring the notification bell to get notified every single time that I upload. Let me just say very quickly before we begin this video, I am currently running a giveaway on the channel for a premium edition Fall of Man collector's edition for Shin Megami Tensei 5. You get a chance to win if you are subscribed to my YouTube channel and you enter the link which is down in the description below. There's additional things that you can do for additional entries, but to enter, all you have to do is at least be subscribed to the channel and also, of course, enter the link down in the description below. Good luck, and now let's get into the video. So 15 million sales worldwide is what the Persona series just achieved. Very good numbers for a JRPG series. There's not a lot of Japanese RPGs that reach this status. So Persona is now mainstream, in my opinion. It did something very, very important, and it is now critically acclaimed for all their games. It is also doing very well sales-wise. It's extremely popular, more popular than it ever was before. And that's due to the success of certain games. I would say the success of anything after P3. Now, obviously, if you look at base P3, even P3 FES, vanilla P4, it wasn't that great. It didn't do that great. The first big success, in my opinion, is when they released P4G on the Vita. Now, P4G on the Vita was a very good port of Persona 4 and a remaster as well. New content, tweaked little things, functions that are better now. It is portable, and Japan, they love their portable games. P4G on the Vita is basically the game, the must-buy game on Vita that everyone mentions on their videos talking about must-play Vita games. So it did very well. I don't have the exact same numbers for that, but it did sell around 1 million copies on the Vita for P4G, and we just got an update when it comes to the Steam version of the game. If you don't remember, P4G was ported to PC and Steam in June 2020. And on this day, the game sold roughly 900,000 copies, which means that P4G is currently sitting at 2 million units. That's not considering vanilla. It is just considering P4G on Steam and on Vita, which is very, very, very good here. Now, we also have updated numbers when it comes to other games such as Persona 5 Royal. The last update that we have was that it sold 1.4 million copies as of July of last year. But on this last fiscal report, we just got the update that it reached 1.8 million units. Note that P5 Royal is exclusively available on the PlayStation 4. So it sold that many copies for a re-release of vanilla P5 with additional content and new features again. And it is at 1.8 million, which is very good once again here. Now, there's something interesting here. There's another game, another Persona 5 game, being Persona 5 Strikers. The game came out in February of 2020 in Japan and in February 2021 in the West, and it is now sitting at a 1.3 million copies sold worldwide. Now, what I want to talk about here is the fact that a mainline Persona game, P5R, sold 1.8 million copies, and P5S sold 1.3 million. An action RPG in warrior style, with obviously it's very different than your typical warrior game. Some don't even say it's a warrior game. It's basically an action RPG at this point. And this game sold 1.3 million. Note that this game released on Steam, Switch, and PS4, so it's not an exclusive. So there's only 500k copies differences here, and P5R has been on the market for a longer time, as it released in March 2020 everywhere in the world, and a bit before that in Japan, obviously. My point is, imagine if P5R released as well on Steam and Switch. It would be sitting at a way higher number. Don't get me wrong, 1.8 is very good, but clearly when you look at a small little spin-off and it's almost at the same sales number than a mainline game because it's on multiple systems, it shows that multi-platform pays off. Now, 1.3 for Strikers is extremely good. Once again, I was not thinking that we would get more P5 spinoff in the future, but now that we have those numbers, I'm not too sure because 1.3 million is extremely good. So we'll have to wait and see for that. Once again, P4G also has some very good number. And I think this massive success, this massive spike in success for the Persona series comes from the new structure of the series. So I do want to talk today about Persona 1 and the Persona 2 duology, simply because I was asking myself, looking at those numbers, is Atlus ever going to go back to Persona 1 and 2? Now, if you didn't play those games are very different from Neo Persona, being Persona 3 to Royal. It made me ask myself, will they ever go back to those games? It's hard for me to say yeah, to be honest, because Neo Persona is very different from 1 and 2. Simply, there's some big elements, big gameplay changes that are the calendar system, the social links. Those two things, believe it or not, are the main appeal of Neo Persona for a lot of people out there. Now, there's other things that people like, but this is the factors, this is the elements from those games that made the games as popular as they are right now. When you look at a series like Shin Megami Tensei, mainline SMT, well, those games, they're way more complex in various different elements. They don't have the emphasis on characters and social interactions and social life calendar, all of that. That's not in mainline, and even if mainline is way older, it didn't sell as much. I think Persona has an appeal being a more colorful and joyful series with an emphasis on characters that SMT doesn't have. So yes, I do think that Atlus is going to keep pushing in that direction. I fully expect Persona 6 to be a game similar to P5. Very different with its story, characters, and all of that. But social links, the calendar system, flashy menus, flashy music, all of that is here to stay because this is what made Neo Persona as popular as it is right now. So will they ever go back to 1 and 2? I mean, if you look at those games, it's not impossible for them to just put them in HD and add those elements that made Neo Persona as popular as it is right now, such as the calendar system, put social links in those games. But to be honest, that would probably make a lot of old fans mad. And would new fans go back to those games if they had those elements? I'm not too sure. So for those two reasons, I'm not sure if they're ever going to go back to those games, unfortunately, in terms of a remake. This is what I'm talking about here today. Will they do HD ports of those games with very low effort? That's a possibility in my mind, because they would require low effort if you just port them to new systems. Make them cheap, it's going to sell super well. Look at P4G on Steam. It released at $20. It did super well. So I think that if they do P1 and 2 Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment, I think there's potential here if it is a low effort port. But a remake doesn't feel too likely to me. A complete remake doesn't feel too likely to me, unfortunately. 15 million is great and all, but what could they do to make it even better, even more popular? Now, it is true that exclusives attract more people to a title because it's exclusive to that system. Multi-platform systems sometimes, multi-platform games, sometimes they're not considered as important for a system, and for that reason there's a possibility that they keep rolling in the direction of exclusive. But as I'm sure you guys know if you've been watching my channel for a certain time, both Sega and Atlus publishers, they are all in with multi-platform nowadays, or at least that's what they say. They keep saying we want to put our IPs, we want to put our games on multiple systems, etc. And I think a good way to make Persona even more popular, even more into the mainstream, would be to make it multi-platform, at least PC. Now, console exclusive, again, I'm all about exclusivity, guys. I'm just not gonna beg for ports and all of that. I just think it's a good idea to make it multi-platform, or at least put the games on PC. A lot of people own PCs and own consoles. There's a lot of people that are still gonna buy your games on consoles. I know I'm still gonna buy it on consoles over PC any day. I don't really like PC gaming, but there's a ton of other people out there, and I don't think that putting your game on PC is being a nuisance to you. Let me just drop a couple of examples. Microsoft, they're putting all their games on PC and their Xbox systems. Even Sony is doing that now. They're putting some of their first-party games on PC. We've seen it with Uncharted 4, which is going to happen in the near future. They recently did Horizon Zero Dawn. So even Sony, which they're extremely conservative with their IPs, are finally putting their games on PC. So I think if they put at least Persona on PC, it would be even better if they put it on other systems, such as the Switch and the Xbox. I think PC is the first place where they should absolutely put their games on there. P4G sold 900K in a year, in exactly a year, which is crazy. It is very, very good. Just on PC, 900K copies. It was a low effort port. They could do the exact same thing for P3 and P5R and it would do extremely well. So PC, I think, is the way to go. Other systems, it's hard to predict what they're going to do, but if they really do want to keep that exclusivity, at least make it console exclusive. I think that's a good way for them to make Persona more popular. So those were my quick thoughts when it comes to 15 million sales for the Persona series. Drop a comment below, y'all. Let me know, what do you think about those numbers? Are they what you were expecting? Are you amazed? And most importantly, what do you think they could do to make those numbers even bigger, even more impressive? I'm very curious to hear. And as always, make sure to drop a like if you enjoyed the video. It helps a ton, and subscribe if you're someone new. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.